Perfect. Ahora mismo les aviso a ustedes cuando den las 6:30, yo hago clic y
Antes de admitir a todas las personas, Marisol, ¿quieres que mi cámara esté prendida o la mantengo apagada hasta que...
No, que la gente entre y vea, ¿no?
Tenerla activada nomás, sino que el silencio sí, el audio sí tienes que manejarlo muy bien,
Sí,
Gabycita,
sí,
¿ya?
súper importante.
Perfecto.
Más bien una vez ponle en silencio, porque tú no vas a decir nada. Yo voy a transmitir todo para que no haya ninguna interrupción.
Ya, está bien. Sí, porque por mi lado hay más gente.
Vale, venga, ahora voy a admitir a todo el mundo, ¿ya? Ahí está.
Yo estoy ahorita. Ah, no, claro. Ajá. Así va a ser, ella te va a sujetar. ¿Qué? Si no, dale pues esto, todavía, porque tú no vas a hacer nada ya. Ajá. Claro, y tú vas a ser mi asistente. Tú no vas a ayudar a mí.
Hello, everybody. Are you all, can you all hear me? Are you all connected? I can see you all. Many people here joining us in front of Machu Picchu. You can see on your screen, there's Claudio Guide. He's the one who's going to be guiding us today in this wonderful live stream visit of Machu Picchu at dawn on the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice. It's such a pleasure to be with you today. The first thing I want to tell you is welcome. And here at dawn in Peru, we're live streaming directly from Machu Picchu. This is a new one for me too. I've always dreamt of being in Machu Picchu during the winter solstice. And so I'm excited.
Hello, good morning, familia from the world. Welcome to the news, one of the new 7 wonders in the world. Welcome to Machu Picchu, right in front of us. What a day. We are very lucky to be here with this amazing day, waiting for the best time of the year from the Inca times. We are talking now about the winter solstice. Do you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Thank you for giving me back the answer. So look, right now we're gonna start with the description of this amazing place. Right now we are on the agricultural sector of Machu Picchu. In a moment, we're gonna get in the city and we're gonna start to describe much better. But this is very, very important to understand why we are here. So look, right now I am pointing to you these stones. You see my hand? Just to have a relation between the size of my hands and the stones here. So these are the areas that were used by the Incas to produce food. Yeah, approximately 500 people to 1,000 people living in Machu Picchu, so it was necessary to have supplies of food. And they created their own food here. Behind these walls, there are 3 different levels of materials, like big stones on the foundation, on the base. In the middle, some sand, above that, some grava, and above that, the fertilized soil. The fertilized soil didn't come from here because, as you can see, most of these mountains are rocky mountains, but the fertilized soil is coming from the Sacred Valley, where the soil is very rich with nutrients. Continue with this circuit.
I'm sorry, I was interrupted. My Wi-Fi, I think, fell. Claudio, all good with you? Are you starting the visit?
We started.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you very much.
So again, welcome to Machu Picchu again. Look at that, look at that view. You see this little house? This is the one house on the top of Machu Picchu or above the Inca city of Machu Picchu. The name of this place, the Guardian House. Why the Guardian House? Again, look at the strategical location. This is right above the city. Do you see the city on the left? A little lower, right? This is already a little bit of the Inca city. But also, this is the place from where the Incas could check who was coming from the Inca Trail. So the Inca Trail is right, I don't know if you can see a kind of ravine under the bushes. Yeah, that was the very end of the Inca Trail, the one that we know now as the Inti Punku. In a moment, I'm going to explain you why this is called in that way. But let me tell you something. There was not only one trail that was going to Machu Picchu. There are 8 other Inca trails finishing here. So imagine how important was this place. What else? Look at these structures here. We are on the highest part of Machu Picchu. These structures here used to have a roof, thatch roof, like the little house that you can see behind. These are the places that are called the colcas. The colcas were the places where the Incas used to storage food. What kind of food? Dehydrated food, like for example, dehydrated potatoes, dehydrated meat, dehydrated corn, dehydrated quinoa, you know, because they knew that not all the time they could have a good production. So it was necessary to know or to have another way to get the food, to supply this to the people. Little by little, getting better and better view. So now I'm gonna take you to one of my favorite places in the Inca city of Machu Picchu. Just hold on and come with me. By the way, talking a little bit about the vegetation, the National Park of Machu Picchu is not only to protect the Inca site, yeah, it's also to protect the nature, the forest, the vegetation. Good. Please don't take down your mask, yeah? Please. So again, as I was mentioning, look at this amazing view here. This is the classic view of Machu Picchu, the one that all of you probably have seen on the postcards, in the internet, on the books, right? And this is being surrounded by the Wilcamayu River, the Urubamba River. Wilcamayu, sacred river. This is the same river that is coming from the sacred valley of Cusco. So this is a very special moment, very special day. That's the reason why we have some friends around of us having the same pleasure like us, you know, to enjoy this time. In front of us, the Huayna Picchu mountain. Many of the names that I'm gonna mention are in the Quechua language, the original Inca language. Huayna Picchu in Quechua means the young mountain, the young mountain. Machu Picchu is the old mountain. So in a moment, I'm gonna show you the Machu Picchu mountain, but let's describe little by little this place. Just follow me. Let's see. I was talking about the names of the mountains. You see this triangle-shaped mountain right in the middle above the archaeological site? So this is the Machu Picchu mountain, Machu Picchu. Machu in Quechua means old, and Picchu means mountain. So the old mountain, and behind of us, with the classic view of Machu Picchu, is the Huayna Picchu mountain, right? Is that clear? So let me tell you something about Machu Picchu. Why Machu Picchu has been built here? Why Machu Picchu is so important for all of us? By the way, this is considered one of the new 7 wonders, right? And obviously, you know why. Not because only the archaeological site, also because of the nature that is around. The National Park of Machu Picchu is approximately 40,000 hectares, yeah? 40,000 hectares that protect also the flora and the fauna. The altitude where we are right now, we are above the 9,000 feet. So this is not too high, not too low. Between 7,000 to 9,000 is what we consider the level for the cloud forest. And that's the reason why the soil or the landscape is very rich with the green and the colors of the flowers. Well, Machu Picchu got built here in the 1100s. In the 1100s. So in the 1100s is when the Inca expansion started. Before the 1100s, there were other civilizations, like for example, the Caral, which is considered the mother of the civilizations in Peru, which has been evolved 3000 BC, before Christ. Yes? And after that came the Chavins. After them came the Nazcas. I don't know if you have heard about the Nazca lines, which is very famous in the world as well. Also came the Paracas, the Mochicas, right? The Tiahuanacos. And after that came the Incas. The Inca expansion started in the 1100s with Manco Cápac, the very first Inca, who started dominating to the little tribes that were in the valley of Cusco. Cusco was the beginning or the capital of the Incas. In the 1500s, when the conquerors got here, they saw that the Inca Empire was huge, very big. Actually, many people like to compare the Inca Empire with the Inca or with the Rome Empire in Europe. But the difference is that the Incas never used the wheels. In a moment, we're gonna get in the city, we're gonna explain you how the Incas could make this amazing world here on the top of the mountains, right? Pachacutec, the ninth Inca, the most important one. By the way, Pachacutec in Quechua means the creator of the world, the transformator of the world, the man who changed the world, yeah? So Pachacutec, which original name was Tito Cusi Yupanqui, started the expansion from Cusco to countries that we know now as Ecuador, Colombia, Bolivia, Argentina, Chile, and Peru. And again, the capital of all of this empire was Cusco. But at the same time, this empire has been split in 4 big regions. Yeah, the Chinchay Suyo, the Conti Suyo, the Colla Suyo, right? And well, as soon as this happened, Pachacutec decided to have a place by himself, a place where he could meditate, a place where he could rest. And this place is Machu Picchu, the place that we are looking right now. So this place was also the entrance to the Amazon basin, to the jungle, to the forest. Remember that the Inca Empire, as this was split in 4 big regions, the area of the Amazon was called Antisuyo, but at the same time, this was the entrance to this place, connected by the Inca trails. More than 70,000 kilometers of Inca trails connecting all of this Inca Empire. And obviously that was the way to have the control under the empire. Also, this Inca Empire has been used to connect traders. Remember that the main economical activity in the Inca times was the agriculture, and that's the reason why we are here too. Because the best way to measure the time was checking the movements of the sun, of the stars, of the moon. And especially today is when we're gonna see the winter solstice. So a few more minutes and we're gonna be part of that. So right now the sun is starting to come out. Do you see the clouds? Look how it is changing little by little, and the sun gonna come from our right. So let's start getting in to describe a little bit more about this amazing place. So recently, in the new investigations that the people who is in charge of researching about Machu Picchu, the origin, the history, has been found some rupestral paints on the rock. Some rupestral paints that now are changing the history of Machu Picchu. Originally, we thought that this place has been created by the Incas, but that became, or that changed, because There were some people before the Incas here. So that means that there were pre-Inca civilizations. By the way, would you consider enough time to build Machu Picchu 400 years? What do you think? Probably not, because look where we are located, on the top of the mountains. Just to find this place here, I mean to find the conditions, was very hard. Let me make two questions for you, and let me tell you, if you will be somewhere on the world with this kind of geography on the mountains, and you decide to live there, what will be the two most important things that you might find there in order to establish yourself in that place? What do you think? Come on, a few seconds to think about.
Water.
Yes, sir. Very, very important. Water. Water. And Machu Picchu has its own source of water, which is an spring water coming from the Machu Picchu mountain. And this water started on the high mountains, on the glaciers that are around of Machu Picchu that are coming out from this spring water. And what will be the second one?
Soil.
Yeah, but remember that the soil has been brought from the Sacred Valley. Yeah, this has been transported using what? Llamas or alpacas. The llamas are the biggest ones from the 4 cameloids that we have in South America. By the way, between the four cameloids, we have the vicuñas, the guanacos. The ones that got domesticated were the alpacas and the llamas. Yeah, so they created the places to produce their own food, as you are talking about the soil. Again, here to my right, look at that. Those are the Inca terraces that were used to create food, to produce food. What is the other thing, the most important thing? So let me answer it for you. The second most important thing are the materials to build the city. Here in Machu Picchu, we have 2 very well-marked seasons, the dry season and the rain season. The rainy season starts in December. This is January, February for us, and the dry season is the rest of the year. But here, because we are located on the cloud forest, we could say that we have half of the year under the rain and half of the year dry. Yeah, so that's the reason why the material was very important here. So what's the material here? Stones. Machu Picchu is a complete city built with granite rock, with granite stones. That's the reason also of the color, the gray color. When we're gonna get closer, I'm gonna explain you a little bit more about the techniques that they use to get the little pieces of rock and then to build what you can see. So, Machu Picchu, and right on the middle of my screen, I don't know if you can differentiate, there is a little circular building. Can you see it? Right in the middle, with a little window facing to us. Next to one thatched roof building. This is the Sun Temple, the Temple of the Sun, where we're gonna go in a few more minutes in order to show you the special moment that everyone is awarding. Let's get a little bit lower now. I know you have many questions, so at the end, before we finish this transmission, let me know. So we're gonna have probably 5 minutes to talk about, okay? Save your questions, please. Don't forget them. That's very important too. Machu Picchu is split in 2 areas. The farming area and also the urban sector or the urban area. So here you're gonna see the limits. Do you see? Under the city, in my screen, is the agricultural sector still. By the way, you can see also part of the water aqueduct. The water aqueduct that the Incas used to bring the water in the city. In front of us, This little mountain, this round mountain is called Putucusi. Putucusi. Actually, this, oh, you listen to the train. So tourists are starting to arrive to Machu Picchu. They know why. Look, the Putucusi Mountains is in front of other big mountains from where the sun is coming. Also, you see on the distance, right? In the middle one, the San Miguel Mountain or the Yananti Mountain. This is the mountain that we're gonna connect with the sacred rock in a moment. I was talking about the limits of the Inca city. Between the city and the agricultural sector, there is a big aqueduct, a big water canal. By the way, this is a natural drain. I already mentioned how the rainy season is here. So where this water is going? Why Machu Picchu don't collapse or doesn't collapse because of the weather? Because even until now, the drain system that is well managed in these terraces are working well. Everything that you're gonna see, that you are looking right now, is above a natural big rock. We call the batholith, Vilcabamba batholith. Yeah? The Vilcabamba batholith is a huge, massive granite rock. But above that, they fix the way to avoid this erosion, building these terraces. The process of building of these terraces started in the lower part, yeah, in the lower part, coming to the high, in order to put very well the foundations and to make the structure very solid, very strong. All the water that is taken on the terraces are going layers by layers under and finishing in this big canal, the one that we're gonna see now. By the way, one of the most important functions, purposes of these terraces were also to avoid the erosion. Yeah, you can see here this big canal, right? You see, it looks like a dry river, but it's not really a dry river. And the water gets sink and finishing in the lower part in the Urubamba River. You're gonna see a little bit more about the profile of these terraces. You see some friends walking by as well. Up there, again, the Guardian House. You remember the strategical location? You see a little bit the profile of the terraces. Many of these places got restored after the discovering of Machu Picchu. So let me tell you a little bit about. Remember that the Inca Empire finished in the 1500s with the arrival of the conquerors. But what happened in that moment is that Incas, when they saw that Spaniards became stranger, decided to move out from Cusco to other places. And what could be the last or the best refuge for them? So that was in the jungle. The jungle is in that direction where I am pointing now with the camera. Behind these mountains, behind these clouds, is where you can find the Amazon basin. Is there where the last refuge of the Incas is? I am talking about Vilcabamba. Vilcabamba, the place that has been looked for Hiram Bingham. Yeah, that was the reason why Hiram Bingham got here, because he was really interested about the history of the Incas, but also he wanted to find the last Inca city, the lost city of the Incas. By the way, this is the title of the book that I recommend you to read in order to understand a little bit more. How was the discovering of Machu Picchu? Hiram Bingham, the history teacher, the history professor from the Yale University, came to Peru for first time in the year 1909. And the reason why he came here was because he was following the route that has been made by Simon Bolivar. You know, do you remember this guy? This is the liberator of many countries, yeah, in South America, the one that got the independence for many of these countries. And when he got here, he got, let's say, fall in love with the history of the Incas and decided to look more about them. When Hiram Bingham has heard about Machu Picchu in some researches, he came nearby from Cusco to Ollantaytambo, and is there when he has met with some local people, and he decided to have his own expedition in the year 1911. July 23, he was walking by the lower parts of this area. Yeah, actually, specifically talking about Mandor, which is a little village now. And there he has met with a local man, with a local farmer, Melchor Arteaga. This guy was the person who talked a little bit more about Machu Picchu. So the next day, July 24th, very early, as we are doing now, they came up from there to here in order to explore a little bit more. What a surprise. When they got here, they saw that all of this city was covered by the vegetation. It was not found, as we can see. As we can see, yeah? And he started to excavate and to clean the site. He thought he has found Vilcabamba, but with the time he noticed that this was not right. He discovered another new city. Another surprise was that when he got here in Machu Picchu, he found some people, some families living here. What means that? Machu Picchu was never lost. People knew about that. Yeah, people knew about that. And we can say also that Machu Picchu always was here too. So here is the main entrance of Machu Picchu. We're gonna follow now this route in order to explore a little bit more about that. Hola, hola, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Great, thank you. So I was mentioning that now we are into the urban sector. You can see clearly why we are here. So look at the room, look at the structures. They knew very well about the second floor. Under us is the third floor, and right now where we are is the second floor. And they use as themselves pieces of wood coming from the jungle. So they use the local materials. Probably you are asking yourself why Machu Picchu is not completely restored. So let me tell you something. The 30%, approximately the 30% of all you can see has been restored. But in order to keep the originality, yeah, the original stuff, is that we cannot do that. Also, could be difficult to maintain that. The little house with the thatch roof is a clear example. This has been restored. Imagine after 500 years, so anything organic could last that long. But these walls are. So part of these walls are now here. You see these piles of stones? So probably one time later on, this is gonna be reused to restore the Inca structures. What else? UNESCO, in order to keep the title of World Heritage, asked to the government to keep the place as much original as you can. That's the reason why also Machu Picchu is very attractive. Because this is the one Inca city that has not been touched by the Spaniards. Because in the process of conquering, when they found cities like this, they just started to destroy them in order to build new things, no, new temples, new palaces, kind of that. But here, that was not the case. Aha, we are getting now to the center of Machu Picchu. In few more minutes, we're gonna be above the Sun Temple in order to see what you are waiting for. So now we are in the area that is considered the quarry. You remember a few minutes ago I was mentioning why Machu Picchu got built here. And some of you, very smart, told us that one of the reasons is that here Machu Picchu has its own source of water. The source of water is coming from the Machu Picchu mountain, the tallest mountain that you can see from here. And the second most important thing is the material. And where the material was found in the same place, was not necessary to transport rocks or stones from other areas. So this has been found in the same place. This is the area that is considered the chaos, the granitic chaos. Granitic because of the kind of rock, granite. The granite has in its structure quartz, yeah, feldspar and mica and other little minerals in little small proportions, no, in small proportions. So the stones were worked here. But what else? Look in this quarry, you can understand that Machu Picchu never got finished of building, never. This was still in process of building. Imagine, so when this city will be finished, never really, because the idea was to expand the city much, much bigger. Yeah. What were the techniques that they used to build this? Here in the lower part, you see these stones, one big and one small one. So this was a stone that was in process of working in order to get a flat surface. How was the process to get small stones from big rocks like this? By the way, this is original. You can see that here this stone was in process of carving, but in order to break it in two pieces by percussion, just using other smaller stones, stronger stones, by the way. Remember that Incas never knew about the iron. No, they use a different kind of rock, the one that we call higuaya or hematite, yeah, which is almost 90% iron, but they didn't know with this name. Here, this was in process of carving, yeah. Actually, you can see the shape. It's a kind of hole, a little bit lower as well. Another technique that they used were heating the stones with a lot of firewood. Imagine wood or fire under that, right here, heating the stone. And when this was very hot, they used water, cold water especially, to spread it out on the rock and then to get the crack and to break it. And that's another technique how they use that. Also, there was a group of students from the university that some years ago came here to taste, to prove how the Incas used to get the cracks. They made little holes in the middle of the rock, yeah, right here, you see this little hole. Also, they sticked pieces of wood in the hole, and then they split it out some water. And you know what happens, wood and water? Expansion. The process was slow, but was very efficient. Also, they took advantage of the natural cracks from the rock. This is a natural crack. So it was easier for them to get smaller stones too. talking about the time, how long will be the time that the Incas used to build Machu Picchu? Remember that Pachacutec, the ninth Inca, started to rule in the 1400s until the arrival of the Spaniards were just less than 100 years, really. Would you consider enough time, this time, for building Machu Picchu? Probably not. With the technology that they had, probably not. Yeah. So that means that Machu Picchu was not started by the Incas, really. There were other civilizations before. And this civilization name is Quilque. These ones were conquered by the Incas, and then they started the new construction. Like any conquering process, the new culture set above the original ones new structures. And this is what happened with Machu Picchu too. So we are almost in the time. Now we're gonna go to the award time, to the sun's temple, to the temple of the sun. Aha, look, the sun is already on the Machu Picchu mountain, the tallest mountain in this area. Some tourists, friends. So right now we are located on the best place to see the winter solstice. The sun is rising from the mountains behind almost the time. So for a few minutes, I'm gonna be in silent in order to allow to the others to enjoy this time. I would like that you feel it as well. The best time of the year is coming. Happy winter solstice from here,
No sé, mi cámara.
We certainly did. Okay, family in the world, we are very close, almost the right time to see it. Sun is rising a little bit more. You can see very well the little window is getting with the light, right? The first rays of the sun are coming in Machu Picchu. Are starting to appear. So be ready. Be ready.
Blind me. Angela, yes, it will. Karen, actually, I didn't bring my shades. Julie, I actually I have some tea. He's having gas from all over the world.
Okay, having the first rays of light coming out. You see very well there. We are very excited for this moment. Sun is coming soon. Sun is coming soon.
It's the place where you finish in the trail. And you get inside of Machu Picchu after 20.
Okay, family, we are at the right time. The sun, which is above the mountain, is going to project a single line, ray line, through the little window that is in the lower part of the circular building. Are you looking at? We are right in the time. Just be patient, please. Actually, we have some little clouds that are covering still the sun, but the sun is just coming. So on the other cameras also you can see that the sun has already reached to the Machu Picchu mountain. Very soon to the Huayna Picchu mountain. And few seconds after, gonna be here in the Temple of the Sun. So this is something that everyone is expecting. Little by little, it's coming. Yeah, you can see much better the lights, red lights are reflecting to both sides of the little hill that is covering the clouds. So look, there is. You see the red light? You see? Look with the window.
Look down there, guys. Temple of the Sun. Look at the
Happy New Andean Year, familia. Happy New Andean Year. This is the time. This is the moment that we were waiting. Look at the light of the sun through the window. This is the perfect time. Thanks God. Thanks Pachamama. Let's bring good times for us in the world. Yeah, the sun is now with us. And now in the sun's temple. So let me tell you a little bit more about the sun's temple. This is the one circular building in all Machu Picchu. The characteristic of the structures is that the Inca walls are very fine, kinds of Lego. The technique that they used was very simple. So they used to carve the rock perfectly in order to stick stones with the stones, not using any kind of mortar, just stones with the stones. But this whole structure has been built above a natural rock. And this natural rock has been carved carefully in the middle in order to get a kind of altar. So this was the time when the Incas used to start the rituals, the sacrifices, the blessings, no, in honor of the sun, which was the most important deity in the Inca times. Another reason why we are coming to see this is because also the Incas feel connected totally, completely to the nature. In the Andean cosmovision, without the sun, they could not live. Without the Mother Earth, they could not live. And they understood that there has to be something special for them. And today, this day was the most important day for them. Thank you, Pachamama. Thank you, Inti Taita. So family, now we have to move a little. Hope you enjoyed this time as we made. We are very well motivated. We are excited. We are bringing good energy for all of you in the world. Thank you for being part of this. Still, we have some things in Machu Picchu to show you to make this memorable time historic. Okay, we made it. We got it. I feel happy. I came to this little room just to show you how the lights of the sun are hitting now all the city. Amazing, right? So probably you're asking yourself how the Incas used to live. This is one example of that. This is one little room where you can find some niches. Yeah, these little kind of windows on the walls. Also, you can see this natural rock here. This was the Inca bed where they used to put probably some alpaca or llama skins, a kind of mattress where they have to sleep. These little niches here, in some cases, were used with ceremonial purposes. In a moment, we're gonna get to the religious sector and you're gonna understand it much better. But here in the domestic use, you should know that Incas never know about tables or chairs. Yeah, actually, they used to have in one single room the bed, the kitchen in the other corner, let's say. Yes, they used to eat sitting in the ground, guinea pigs running everywhere, and the best place to protect probably the dishes, no, were putting those in these little niches. Yeah, domestic use. Also, let me show you how were Inca houses out. Look, this wall is not complete, but you can see some stones coming out. Yeah, I would like that you compare this with the thatched roof building, the one that is a little bit farther behind. Yeah, can you see it? So they used to use this to tie with the timber. Yeah. They use this technique. Much better here. And above that, they use the thatch roof. They use the grass highlands, the highlands grass, to cover this. That's the reason why the inclination of the roof. Remember that they never suffer with the floods. So those were well protected. Look at this image, little window. I'm gonna come out from here. Again, the gods are with us. Muy bien. Let's continue our tour. All the people is getting out from the Sun's Temple, very happy. And there again, the Huayna Picchu Mountains. Wow. Machu Picchu with the sun looks different, right? Still, I am in a different angle of the Temple of the Sun. Look, I was mentioning that the Temple of the Sun was built right above a natural rock, but under this natural rock, there is a cave. The one that has been named by Hiram Bingham when he found this place as the Royal Tomb. I was talking a lot about Pachacutec, no? The man who built this site, this city. We don't have any document or any, let's say, any history about the mummy of the Incas. So Pachacutec got mummified, but this probably got burned when the Spaniards got here. So the thing is that when Hiram Bingham got to this royal tomb, this tomb was empty, probably because some tomb riders were before him here. Aha, look at the red sun. Wow. Now we're gonna go to the religious sector. This is the sector, the area that is considered the main plaza of Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu was an administrative, a politic, but also a religious center, very important. This was not the most important of the Inca cities, was probably one of the most important ones. Remember that the most important city was Cusco, the capital, where we have also other structures, other archaeological sites nearby. So the reason why. And Machu Picchu was only one of them. Machu Picchu has been habitated especially by people who used to serve, who used to work for the Inca. Not common people, really. This was a privilege to live here. And as you can see, this city used to be not that big, for holding approximately 500 to 1,000 people. Yeah. But still, the terraces that we saw, no? Look now again, look at the terraces, the farming area. You see, this was not enough to produce food for all of these people. So that was necessary to create or to have other places. That's the reason why along the Sacred Valley, there were other Inca sites similar to Machu Picchu, but not the same, I mean. were created only with the reason to produce more food. And all of this wood was transported by llamas and alpacas using the Inca trails. Right in front of us on the top, the sun dial or the Intihuatana. So there we go. I saw just a question about the Sun Fest, the Inti Raymi. The Inti Raymi is not anymore celebrated here in Machu Picchu. In the Inca times, for sure. But the Inti Raymi, the biggest or the most important festival in the Inca times, actually celebrated every June 21, in the Inca times again, is celebrated in Cusco. The main festival was in Cusco. So now the government is promoting the celebration, commemorating to the Incas. This is going to be now in June 24. June 24 is the day that we have the Sun Fest. So before I pass this episode, look, do you see the mountains, the glaciers behind the clouds? Now it's clear, or more with the sun of the light, you can see much better. Yeah, these mountains were considered sacred mountains. The reason why the Incas have a lot of Inca sites with temples everywhere is because they were very respectful with the nature. So it was necessary to do offering ceremonies in honor of the nature, in honor of Mother Earth. In the Andean cosmovision, the relation that the humans have with the nature is very important. For Andean cosmovision, humans are part of the nature, not the nature part of humans. So imagine how important was that. And this is one very important site. We are now in the area of the temples. So this is the area that we call the three windows temple. You see the three windows? Actually, this is the one side, the one structure that has the size and the shape of this. When the sun is coming through, used to project lights and shadows through, but also this is what we consider the connection between the three worlds. In the Andean cosmovision, the world has been split in three stages. Yeah, we call those in Quechua the Hanan Pacha, the Kai Pacha, and the Uku Pacha. The past, the present, and the future. And every one of those were represented by one animal, the ones that were considered sacred too. We are talking about the condor, the puma, and the snake. About the sun gate, you just saw what happened in the Temple of the Sun, June 21st. The Incas measured the time knowing that, checking the movements of the sun. What happened in the summer solstice? For us in December 21, the sun moves 15 degrees to the right and happens the same phenomenon, but this time coming from the sun or from the sun gate or the Inti Punku. Well, do you see this little tree on my left? If you go a little lower on the right, in the middle, right in the middle, you're gonna see a little ravine. This is where the sun gate is. So when the sun moves 15 degrees, so the sun used to rise up through the sun gate. That's the reason why the name of the sun gate. But we have to be very lucky to see this phenomenon in December 21. Why I say because for us or here it's very cloudy and rainy. Might be a clear day like this. Obviously, it happens when you are very lucky. Really, you could see this phenomenon too, and that was another way to measure the time. I was mentioning that the main economical activity in the Inca times was the agriculture. And the agriculture here depends on the weather. No, it was necessary to know when the rain was coming, when the planting season is starting, when the harvesting season is starting, or when the storage season happening. So all was around or related in function to the agriculture. So we are again here in the Three Windows Temple. We have here some people waiting to see the shadows. So while they wait, let me explain you something about this. You see this little rock here? You can see 4 corners in this rock. Actually, this is a natural rock. This is a natural rock. This is the one that we call the connection with the Southern Cross. Have you heard about the Southern Cross in the constellations? This is something that you can see just in the Southern Hemisphere. Here, this piece of rock has been representing this Southern Cross. Every corner here is pointing to one of the 4 cardinal points. For example, the one here is pointing to the south. Here, pointing to the north, yeah, to the east and to the west. But how the Incas could know about this? Incas never knew about compass, by the way. That's the reason why it's sometimes difficult to understand that, right? Incas represented what was in the sky here. Tonight, if you will be here in a clear night, it's possible to see in the sky the Southern Cross in the same position of this piece of rock. So this was the representation of that. That was another way to measure the time too. But this is not the one constellation that they knew here. By the way, for the Incas, the constellations were not the stars, as we know in the new times, in the modern life. For them, the constellations were the black spots that you can see in the Milky Way. The Milky Way was the representation of the sacred river, yeah? And inside of the Milky Way, there are some constellations, like, for example, the llama, the hunter, the fox, the frog, and the snake. And they knew very well, when they could see those very clear, was also starting the irrigation time in order to get ready the lands. Now we're gonna get to the second most important place, the one that everyone is expecting to. We are going now up to the sundial, to the Intihuatana. Different view, different angle of Machu Picchu. How is everyone there? All okay? As you can see here in Machu Picchu, all are steps, going up, going down, stairs up, stairs down. So here we are. I want that you see this little thing. It's a little detail. Look at this piece of rock here where I am pointing, where the ray light is. And look at the relation with the mountains. Can you see? It's a kind of little model, yeah? Representing the mountains that are around. This is what we call an illa. They made these kind of things in order to venerate the sacred mountains, putting some offerings in the lower part. Like, for example, here in this. And the flat surface is where they used to leave some offerings in honor of the mountains. Little lower, the main plaza. And now we're gonna get in the sundial. Here we are. We are in the highest part of the urban sector. You can see clearly that this is a natural rock that has been carved carefully too, in order to get this big protuberance. Yeah. But what is the sundial? The sundial is not really something to measure the time as we know. Yeah. This was also another way to measure the time and to know exactly when the solstices and the equinoxes were happening, the same as in the temple of the sun. If you see very well, this is projecting a shadow, yeah, behind, you see? For example, in the equinoxes that happens in September, between the solstices and the equinoxes too in October, the sun, when it is in the zenith time, I mean up in relation to this stone, doesn't produce any shadow. And that was the perfect time, again, to make other kind of rituals, other kind of ceremonies. How we know all of this information? Because of the chroniclers and the historian people who are researching about. One of them, Felipe Guamán Poma de Ayala, has described this kind of altars, yeah, saying that on the top of this is where they used to put the representation of the main god of the Incas, yeah, the Apu Kontiti Pachayachachic. And was in these flat areas that they used to leave the offerings too. I mean, this was another reason, another purpose of this. Intihuatana has been named by Hiram Bingham, and this is not the one Intihuatana. We have many Intihuatanas, but this is the most important one because this is located in Machu Picchu. After to do these ceremonies, offerings, sacrifices, the Inca or the main priest from the Incas had to announce to the people who was awarding for the news, probably awarding here in this plaza, yeah, to say how the future could be in order to prevent or in order to have to be ready in case anything bad or anything good could happen. Yeah, that was the reason too. They used to predict the future too, sometimes using the coca leaves, something that we still preserve at this time. Today, there might be in the countryside some festivals in honor of the sun. There is the Huayna Picchu mountain. I don't know if you can see on the top of the Huayna Picchu mountain, there are some structures, some constructions. Yeah, the top of the Huayna Picchu mountain also was another ritual place, another religious place. I mean, to do other kinds of ceremonies. So I was mentioning about the industrial sector, sorry for the audio. So Hiram Bingham has found here a lot of instruments that the Incas used to use for doing pottery, many bones, also some artifacts that were used for cooking, some pieces of metal. And all of these pieces were taken with him to the Yale University. A part of this was sent back some years ago, and that's why we have in Cusco now the Machu Picchu Museum. When you're gonna get here to Cusco, let me know to go there. What a day, beautiful day. Blue sky, clear. And the sound of the river, very nice.
Look at that.
Stairs down, stairs down. The vegetation here is very rich. Most of this forest is native. And the reason of that is that here is forbidden to have exotic plants. Here, the National Park of Machu Picchu is also very well known, very popular, because we have over 108 species or varieties of orchids. One of my favorite flowers. Yeah. Also, people come here to do some bird watching. If you are bird watchers, this is the place too. So nearby around of Machu Picchu, you're gonna see a lot of colorful birds. Now we are in the same level of the main plaza. Okay, familia, family from the war. Now let me show you a different angle, a different view of Machu Picchu. Here with you, but this time, now with the Machu Picchu mountain. Look at this, only for us. Machu Picchu now looks different because we have just few people here. In other times, this was crowded. So the tourism is reactivating itself again. Yeah. That is the Machu Picchu mountain. So we are close. We're close to the end of this transmission. In a moment, we're gonna connect the audios with all of you, and I will be happy to answer some. Actually, some questions were solved along the transmission. Look, this is a surprise for you. This is what we call the sacred rock. Why we say that? Look. Look. Look to the relation that this has with the mountain behind. Huh? You see the mountain behind? This is the San Miguel mountain. Yeah? And the Incas represented this mountain in this rock. This is what we call the Yanantin. For the Incas, the complements were very important. You remember we were talking about the cosmovision. So part of the cosmovision also are the complements. More or less like the philosophy that we know as the yin yang. Yes? The sun and the moon, male and female. Hmm? Everyone got it right? Look at that. And the sun is helping very well. Maybe a little bit better perspective from here. Okay. So family.
Claudio, hi. Claudio, I have a question. Is this the point where you start the hike to Huayna Picchu? Did you answer
Oh,
that
yes.
on the audio before?
Yes, Marisol. Actually, in a regular ticket to Machu Picchu, you can get an addition, yeah, an entrance to Huayna Picchu. But right now, Huayna Picchu is not open. So probably soon it's going to be again. And let me show you the entrance to get there. This is the entrance to get there. Yeah, it's closed. And there is the Huayna Picchu mountain. This is a highly recommended addition that you should do because the view from the top of the Inca city is amazing. And this takes you just 2 hours to do that. 1 hour to get up and 1 hour to get down. And we have some friends as well here. Let me show you. I don't want to miss this.
Right. Thank you.
Aha. Look to our friends.
There you are.
Waiting for us. Hello, guys.
Look. There's oh, funny. Claudio, there's also the opportunity of going to the other mountain, right? To hike up to the other mountain, to Machu Picchu mountain, is there?
Actually, we have the options to go to the Machu Picchu mountain or to the Huayna Picchu mountain.
When you visit Machu Picchu, excellent.
Yes,
excellent.
yes.
If anybody, we have a few minutes. If anybody has questions, please take the opportunity of asking Claudio live. You have it right there. You're practically at Machu Picchu. It's been amazing. Claudio, thank you so much. Thank you to the team for putting this together. Thank all of you for tuning in. We were very lucky with the weather, and Taita Inti is blessing us with his wonderful sun rays. Any questions, please ask. And I don't know if you have any, or just unmute yourselves and ask.
Thank you, Claudio. Thank you, Marisol. Thank you, everyone. Claudio, is there anything else you can tell me about the stone in the middle of the Temple of the Sun and what's under that stone, or any other information you have?
For sure, for sure. Sorry, probably the audio has gone in that moment, but I was mentioning that, well, the Temple of the Sun was built above this natural, beautiful rock, granite also, but under that, there is a kind of cave, yeah? And this is the place that has been named by Hiram Bingham as the Royal Tomb. But when he got here, this place was already empty. Also, another thing that you have to understand is that Hiram Bingham was not the very first one in Machu Picchu. Remember that there were some people living here, but also there were some treasure hunters, tomb riders, that were looking for treasures, and probably these people were the ones that took all that was in. But because of the quality of the structures that there is under the Temple of the Sun, is that we call the Royal Tomb because it's beautiful. We could not get in there because it still is closed because the archaeologists are still making some research. But for sure, when you're gonna get here physically, we're gonna have the chance to see that too.
Yes.
Claudio, is there some line carved onto that rock?
Under the Temple of the Sun,
Yeah.
there is a rock that has been carved carefully in order to get the 3 steps.
Okay.
I was mentioning in the Temple of the 3 Windows too, that the Andean trilogy represented by the condor, the snake, and also the puma was that representation. The Incas used to live, let's say, connecting these 3 words with these 3 steps. This was the symbolic way to know that. And
Okay.
when this happens, or I just mentioned also, when these 3 steps are also lighted by the sun, is when we say that the 3 worlds are connected. That's the reason why also the winter solstice is very, very important.
Right, right. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? If not, I want to let you know that before we log off, that we want to thank you. Please send us your feedback, because it gives us and tell us what your criticisms and constructive criticisms, and to be able to do these things again, whether you like them and what you thought. And this is been recorded, and we are going to be sending you the recording tomorrow for you to watch again. So thank you very much for participating and for being here with us today. Claudio and everybody on the Machu Picchu, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. And we look forward to going there personally, in person, very soon.
So, family in the world, thank you very much for being part of this. Thank you very much for allowing me to be part of you in this moment. I just want to wish you all the best of the world, good energy coming from the sun to all of you. I hope we're going to see each other physically when you get here in Cusco. You're going to be welcome anytime. Thank you again, and all the praying blessings for you coming from the Pachamama. Good luck. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, Claudio. Thank you, everybody. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.